Hey everyone, this is BRAINWAVEZ, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you the right way to send collabs using Ableton to another person also using Ableton. So I can also make a video about sending stems to other people if they're using like a different DAW. Let me know if that's something that interests you in the comments, but for now, let's jump into this one. So first thing first, you gotta make sure that you're both using the same version of Ableton to avoid compatibility issues. So the way you check that is you go to help and about live. In my case, for example, I have the version 11.2.1. If you have a newer version, your collaborator may need to update his version to be able to open the project altogether. If on the contrary you have an older version, then the other person won't have issues opening the project, but once that the other person saves a new iteration of the project and wants to send it back to you for you to work further on the track, then you may need to have to update your version of Ableton to be able to open that last version of the track. So once you know that you are working on the same version, it's time to organize your project. That means grouping, naming, and color coding your tracks. That is in an easy to understand way. So I normally just have everything into 3 groups. So once I have everything in groups and color coded, which I already have because this is my template, so everything is pretty organized from the get-go, I'll start like naming things that maybe don't have a name yet. So for example, this one, I would put something like hat loop 1, and then I have another hat loop in here, so I'm gonna put hat loop 2. This is a full drum loop from another song of mine, so I'm just gonna name it drum loop. Then I'm gonna delete things that I don't need, like this clip doesn't have anything on it, so I'm gonna delete it. Now I'm gonna go into my synths. This is like the A section of the drop, so I'm gonna name this group as A section. You basically want to make it the easiest for your collaborator to know what he or she is looking at. So alright, so now that everything is organized, one thing that you could do that I do a lot is just use time locators to outline the structure of your track. So for example, this is my drop, so I would put in here something like build up and pre-build or something. Then this is the second half of the drop, so I normally put like drop 1.2, break, build 2, drop 2.2. Another use for the locators could be to write like small notes to maybe your collaborator that he or she could try doing. So for example, I put in here longer vocal, suggesting that he could try changing this vocal for something longer. So that's also something you can do. Besides that, make sure you freeze any audio or MIDI channel that has third-party plugins, because your collaborator may not have the same plugins as you do. Let's say that he or she doesn't have Serum or OTT, then the best thing you could do is just come here and freeze the track, and do that with every channel that has any third-party plugin. You also gotta be mindful if one of you is using Mac and the other is using PC, because in Mac you have the audio units plugins besides VSTs. In PC you only have VST. So it happened to me that I used to have Mac and I didn't know about the difference about AU and VSTs. So on some projects I used to work with VSTs, and in others I used to work with audio units, or sometimes I even combined the two. and then I changed to PC, and everything that was an audio unit, I lost it because PC doesn't support that format. So you gotta be mindful of that. If you're using Mac, make sure that if you're using audio units, freeze those channels or even flatten them. So after freezing, you can put flatten track, and then this will bounce to audio. And if the other person is using Mac, let him know that you're on PC and that you won't be able to open any audio unit plugins. One of the last things that you must do is go on File and click Collect All and Save. If you don't do that, then your collaborator will have a lot of missing samples. You can actually see that if I open this folder for this project before I click Collect All and Save, this project is only 28 megabytes or 29, and once I hit Collect All and Save, if I check back, he will have a lot of more files and the size will be way longer. So you can see that it added a lot of folders in here, and if I click on properties again, you can see that the size now it's 129 megabytes. So it copied everything that was not in the project into the project. So samples, loops, all that is now on the project. After that, you just gotta zip it and send it over. One thing that I do though is just I come here and I rename, or I add the BPM and the key, and after that I just zip it. I normally put zip, best compression, I put the name, and then I just wait for it to make the zip file, and then I send this one over. I have Dropbox, so I can get the Dropbox link and I'll send that to my collaborator, and that's pretty much it. So I hope this has been helpful. Please subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you around.